Great. So we're going to move on to the next thing. So I've uploaded my content now, and this is perhaps a document that I'm still working on, or that needs to be updated for some reason. How do I go about doing that? So it really is quite simple. I can simply just open the document from here and start working on it, and those pieces will be tracked. Now, this is where we now hop back to the presentation. A very important portion, a very important aspect around the way that these libraries have been set up right now is that they have been set up specifically to not have check-in and check-out enabled, to make co-authoring easier. Now, let's start with what is check-in, check-out, and why would you use it? Check-in, check-out is a function that gets used to actually lock down a document so that other people cannot make changes to it while you are. And there absolutely are cases where it is a huge necessity. There are certain types of documents that do require that kind of control. But for the most part, people find that more annoying than helpful. So typically, you know, in the new space, you'll find that it is switched off by default, and you can switch it on where you need it, or the site owner can switch it on wherever it's necessary. And the big thing that check-in, check-out gives you is a far tighter control over, you know, content that'll be audited quite heavily. It gives you that absolute security that you have captured the version history perfectly. Even though the co-authoring option does also capture the version history, it is far easier to check and far easier to track in the check-in, check-out kind of space. So in far more formal spaces or far more heavily controlled spaces, people often switch check-in, check-out on to give them that extra little layer of safety. It also allows you to make changes to documents and work on documents without those changes being visible to the outside world, which is lovely. So let's say you're working in a library that your entire team can see, and you're busy updating a document, but it's not ready yet. As long as you don't check it in and you just keep saving it, your changes will be visible to you and no one else until you are done with it. And then when you check it in, then your checked in changes become the latest version of the document and everybody can see that. So you can see how that would be useful in more formalized documentation, and you can also see how that would be more frustrating in documentation that you have multiple people working on at the same time. Does that make sense? I'm going to assume that means yes. Okay, so the co-authoring aspect within within the SharePoint 2019 space, have any of you used the co-authoring function within Teams?
No.
Okay, so the reason why I'm asking is because the functionality is quite different between the two. So you know, I just wanted to make sure that we cover any differences there that we might need to. Okay, so when you're co-authoring a document, what that means is that more than one person can work on something at the same time. And you know, as long as they're not working on the exact same thing at the exact same time, it's not too, you know, it's not, you could have you know, person one working on paragraph one and person two working on paragraph two, and working through a document at the same, you know, sort of together. The kind of stuff where I've often seen people use that is when companies are busy working on a very large tender and you have different departments working on different portions of the document at the same time. It's very much a godsend. But there are limitations to that within the SharePoint 2019 space. When you have a document open and you know other people are working on it, it is really important to ensure that when you make changes, you save them, because that is how the version control is going to be met. So I'm going to hop over now back into the library that we were in, and I'm going to show you what the version control looks like. Okay. So Oopsie, wrong window. Right window. If I go to any of these documents that I uploaded a few minutes ago, and I click on the options ellipse, and I click on show actions. Come machine, wake up, there we go. And I go to version history. I can see all the steps that were taken on this document so far. I can see this was my original upload, this version 1. I can see that after I uploaded it, I first tagged the document type and I made that a meeting pack. I can see that then I updated the departmental meeting, the meeting type field. I can see next I updated the internal and external parties. And I can see the last thing I did was update the title. Now, if I go and make changes to this document, I can actually track those changes through here. And if I have, in this case, it's all me that's logged in. If, say, Cindy and I were working together on the same document, you would see Cindy's name in between these here with every change that she has made. What I love about the way that the version control works is that it means you only ever need to keep one of a document. So the old practice we all have from using network share drives, where we put a version number in the document name, we no longer need to do that, because you have all your documents, all your versions of that document you have stacked together. So when you're opening your document from the front end, you are looking at the latest version. So it's a great way to make sure that when people, let's say someone is looking at a policy, it's a great way to make sure that people are only ever going to see the correct policy, instead of accidentally looking at an old version and everything that goes with that. But if I want to look at an old version, all I do is I go to the version history and I can open that old version from here. So I can click on that. Now, I'm working from the server because my machine is a little unwell today. So the server doesn't have Office installed, but it does have Word. What's that thing called? WordPad. Yes. Oh, it's opened in WordPad already. Where'd it go? It's gone. Come on, work with me. Oof, I've had so much network trouble today. Everything keeps freezing up. Come on. Today would be nice. There we go. Okay, now WordPad opens. So I can open the document at any, in this case, I've opened the latest version, but I can open the document at any version level I want, and I can go and look at it to see what the document looked like at that stage, which is a huge, huge plus. It means that if you accidentally overwrite a document, it's happened to me a couple of times where I had too many documents open and I accidentally overwrote one document with another document. And the new document happened to be an empty page. And it was a really important document, and I was quite sure that I was going to get killed for it. But luckily, you have the option to actually roll back versions as well. So let's say that was a version that was incorrect, that I accidentally overwrote. I can go to this one and I can set it to restore. So it will then create a version 6 that overwrites my version 5, which is the last good copy of the document. So I no longer need to worry about the accidents happening with my documents, because there is full tracking on each of those documents, on every document in my space. So it becomes a pretty easy thing to recover accidents when they do happen.